Howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of It Came From Facebook. Been a while since I did one of these. I kind of let the boys on Discord stack up a few fun ones, and now we've got some great listings to look at. This is just a classic marketplace update. Some insane ones, some crazy ones, and some really weird ones too. And really quick, I did want to mention that we have a Yamaha R7 and $2,000 cash up for grabs on my website, yammynoob.co. Click that link down below and get yourself a hat, a hoodie, a t-shirt. Every dollar you spend will be an entry to win, subject to our multiplier, or you can become a member and lock in your chances to win this bike. So don't miss it. It's going to wrap up this Friday. It's a pretty short, sweet sweepstakes, and I hope you enjoy. I think it looks pretty cool in that blue color, and hopefully it goes to a good home. Now let's jump in. Let's get started with this first one. Just a totally off the rails listing that we found. It's a 2005 Kawasaki Ninja ZX-10R going for $3,000. So priced pretty appropriately, I would say, with 45,964 miles. Somebody rode and loved the crap out of this thing. Although in reality, it's probably like 6 or 7 guys just rode and loved the crap out of this thing over the last 21 years of its life. All right, fella says, clean title in hand. It needs a new timing chain. From what I was told, can hear it slapping around in the engine. We're off to a great start. Needs a new rear tire. Has an 8-inch stretch on it. Gross. That's so gross. Power Commander 3 installed, integrated smoke taillight, don't care about that. LED headlight, aftermarket steering stabilizer, the gold carbon fiber on the fairings is a wrap. Oh no, I thought it was real gold carbon fiber weave, my friend. I'm so glad you told me that. Has a quick shifter setup. Other than the timing chain, the tire, it really doesn't need anything, and that's it. A little beat up cosmetically, but all the light work, it starts right up, and everything does work as it should. Willing to part it out as well, so if there's something you want, message me and throw me an offer. Just want to try to sell as a whole first. So totally fair. This fella thinks that this is kind of the end of the road for the ZX-10. Hearing something slapping around in the engine. I mean, yeah, maybe timing chain, although timing chains, that's obviously the chain connecting the 2 overhead cams all the way down to the bottom of the engine. If that is bad or going, those tend to just kind of like break, and then it's just a horrible, god-awful noise. I guess it could be loose over the last 21 years, and it could actually just be the tensioner on it, because mostly cam chains have like a little tensioner, usually on the side, that puts tension on the chain so that it stays nice and in place. So it might just be the tensioner itself has gone out, because those chains are lubricated in oil, and pretty rare for them to just break or need a new one. Let's take a look at the bike, shall we? So 8-inch stretch on a 21-year-old ZX-10 with a complete straight pipe over here. This was just a roll race missile bike. Somebody, just wanted to go bust up on their buddies on the highway with it. And I gotta say, wow, that needs a new rear tire, huh? You're showing the cords all the way down to the middle, man. Yeah, it needs a new tire. Jeez, and look at the edge of the meat is completely good. That is the most squid tire I've ever seen in my life. Look at the edge of this tire here. It has full tread. It is I think it has still the little nipple things on it that you get on a brand new fresh tire. Oh my god, that is so funny. This bike has never leaned over more than 10 degrees. It's probably leaning more on the kickstand than anyone who currently rides it. That is hilarious. Slammed in the triples, although it looks like, this could just be to my eye, it looks like this left leg here is lower or higher than the right one. It kind of looks like it's off a little bit. You see that? It kind of looks a little funky. Steering stabilizer, nice touch, but again, added to do the ultimate highway roll racing stuff. A lot of silly little anodized Farkle pieces. This never looks good, right? Like anodized little cheapo Chinese parts like this, I've never seen this look good. Just keep it OEM. If the part wears out, do it the right way. Get a proper OEM part. This is not an upgrade. These quick release gas caps and stuff, like typically people do those whenever they've, the bike has been keyed to a different ignition or something weird has happened. The grips with the weird plastic bits on here too. Like, what are we doing? 45,900 miles. That is a testament to Kawasaki's build quality and reliability that a 21-year-old motorcycle with 46,000 miles in this state of disrepair with this absolutely crusty museum sarcophagus grade Dyno Jet Power Commander 3. That's the old school stuff, baby. That's the stuff you used to plug into the laptop and pack into the mainframe and upload a map you found on jigsaw600s.co or whatever. $3,000 for this bike. Yeah, that's about what it should be, I think. Like $2,000, $3,000. That's, considering the cost for parts that this bike could be parted out as, a reasonable value for money. But in general, not a good buy for anybody for any reason. The only reason you should buy this is if you need a parts bike for another ZX-10 that you have. But in general, these old clapped, 20 plus year old Japanese leader bikes, they're almost always a bad buy. They just don't, unless you really just want to go super fast on the highway for as little money as possible, that is, I suppose, a good use of the money, but in general, it's not a good bike. It is not something you should buy. Moving on. So this one is super cool. You really don't see these bikes come up for sale very much, and I really wanted to talk about it. This is a 2018 Motus MST going for $26,995 with 740 miles on the clock. I already know what you're saying. Yam, what the hell is a Motus? Why is it so expensive? What is this thing? Okay, so the Motus story is that two fellas from Alabama decided they wanted to make an American sport touring motorcycle. So they founded the company Motus, and the MST was sold in a couple different configurations. I think they made the MST-R, and I think the MST base, like this one, was the more like very sport touring spec. They have a completely bespoke engine in them. So unlike a lot of American companies that just take a big SNS engine, kind of like Arch, Arch is very cool, but they just use SNS motors. Motus actually built and designed their own engine. So this thing, as you can see here, has a 1650cc, they call it a baby block V4 engine, 2 valve per cylinder, liquid cooled, made about 165 horsepower as the listing says here. So they didn't make a lot of these. They didn't sell very many of them. This is certainly a museum grade collector's piece. But the cool thing to me about this bike is bespoke chassis, bespoke engine, longitudinal mounted V4, chain drive. So, there's a lot of weird stuff going on there in the middle to go from, output shaft this way to chain parallel to it. You have to have some sort of connector right there. I don't know how they got that done, but just a cool story to piece it all together. And one of the cool parts is that it has no electronics. It doesn't have any traction control. I don't think it even has any ABS. 120 foot-pounds of torque. This thing is super interesting, and if I ever get the chance to ride one of these, it would be such a unique and cool experience. So this was a demo model, says 740 miles, never registered. A 2018, that's 8 years old at this point. It was, I think original list on these was like $30,000, which a lot of money, right? A lot of money for a bespoke weirdo bike. But honestly, with the way they're set up, it's a push rod 2-valve V4. These things don't really break from what I've seen. I've seen owners slapping on miles on these, and they were designed to be ridden for a very long distance and to just work. So it's pretty sweet. So 6-speed transmission, nothing weird. It's a weird bike with a lot of conventional parts to it. So let's take a closer look at this. So you see that big 1650 badge, the Motus V4. Again, how cool that they made their own engine. That is a very, very big deal for a small, two-man operation out of Alabama. That's pretty impressive. And it's cool, I often say that bikes are kind of hewn and crafted to fit their specific markets. And a big, powerful, burly sport touring bike, you can just imagine it in the American Southeast, the mountains of Arkansas and Georgia, and just cruising through those Smoky Mountain ranges, It's exactly what this type of bike is designed to do. Unfortunately, it didn't sell very well, but look how nice this chassis looks, right? Look at these welds look great. Just the powder coating, the way it's set up, real deal enthusiasts built and designed this motorcycle. And yeah, I would kill for the chance to ride one of these. It would be such a unique experience. I suppose for $27,000, I could own it myself, but I worry that, you know, it would have zero resale value. It would be very, very difficult to sell this to someone else for any kind of money. It's kind of like a Janus in that way. Super niche, super different, super like out there. And it's kind of like a if you know, you know type of bike. So moving on. All right, this is a classic one. All right, this is the ones I always tell you guys to keep an eye out for if you're looking to get your first motorcycle. This is about as good as it gets. 2016 Kawasaki Ninja 300 ABS, $3,800, 5,800 miles on the clock. 10-year-old Ninja 300 with not much mileage at all. Going for not much money, $3,800. Okay, so seller says Ninja 300 ABS is in fantastic condition. I can definitely see that. Selling because I'm a new dad and I don't ride it much. That is no excuse. I'm a new dad. I have a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old. My life is crazy. I still ride motorcycles. It's got a new filter and a fuel pump since it was parked for a while. That's nice. Recommended by a neighbor who did it for free. Very cool. Please don't lowball me. I've priced it after some research. Honestly, he is right within the ballpark. I can throw in a Sedici blue jacket, pick up South Austin. If you're a serious buyer, we can set up a meeting and talk about the price. P.S. Registration expired. It doesn't really matter on bikes. I've never been pulled over for it. I'm going to be totally honest, folks. I've never been pulled over. Don't really care. Clean title. I'll keep riding it on weekends until it's sold. Sales must happen with a bill of sale and a notary, valid ID, full cash only, price adjusted based on offers I've gotten. So we're dealing with an adult here, folks. We're dealing with an adult. And I know that just based on the way that it's written. I can see the photos here. This person is a parent. They are a well-to-do member of society. The garage looks totally neat and clean. The lighting is correct. He has a showy helmet, high-quality helmet with a beginner bike. You know this person is responsible. This person's reasonable. I see this so often where it's like somebody buys like a clapped out Japanese 1000 or whatever, and then they buy the cheapest helmet that they can. And I'm like, oh no, like you put the money in all the wrong places, you know? This seller, you can tell, reasonable adult, owned it well. And what I was worried about before he assured me of my worries is a 10-year-old Ninja 300 that's been sitting around. That can present some issues, right? As he mentioned, new filter and fuel pump, especially because if you have gas sitting in there, gas that has ethanol in it, which unfortunately a lot of ethanol is found in our gas nowadays. It's harder and harder to find ethanol-free gas. That's going to degrade stuff over time. You don't want to leave a bike sitting for very long. Battery might be smoked as well, so you'd want to check if it's been on a tender. It's not going to be a huge deal. Batteries are relatively cheap, but just an extra add-on if you get this motorcycle. Got the sideways image over here. Do we have anything else? We can see here, look, clean epoxy floors. He's got a couple boxes over here. Looks like his vacuum cleaner's hooked up back here. This is a clean, normal human being, and that's what we want to see from the bikes we buy. And this makes a fantastic first motorcycle, man. Do not fall for the clarion call of somebody, wanting a CF moto with the Farkles and the lights. $3,800, and this bike is functionally equivalent to what a CF Moto 450 is going to do for you, right? Now, one thing I'm noticing, check out the front tire. That is the original equipment front tire. How do I know that? I know that because of this crazy tread pattern. The OEMs back in the day, the Japanese OEMs of, the R3 and the Yamahas, the Kawasaki's, all that stuff, on their entry-level bikes, they always put these just horrendous tires on them. For a while there, I know it's hard to believe, but Yamaha was using bias ply tires in the R3, which is crazy. It wasn't even radial construction. It was a bias ply tire on the R3. That was their OE tire that they equipped. So I would highly recommend, especially because this bike is 10 years old. This is a 10-year-old front tire. Get a new front tire on it, right? Or ask the seller to drop a few bucks off the asking price to get it there. But this could be such a great first motorcycle for someone, man. So these deals exist. I want you guys to keep this in mind. These deals are out there. They exist. You don't have to go spend $9,000 on your first motorcycle. You really don't. You just got to be patient, wait for the right one, and then strike. And you save yourself a ton of money, man. A ton of money. Moving on. It boggles the mind that there is a seeming infinite amount of $14,000 custom Busas for sale. It is crazy to me how many of these were built and produced over the last 20 years. We're looking at a 2006 Suzuki Hayabusa going for $14,000 because they have literally cost the same money since I started doing this series in like 2017. I always said custom Busas, people are like, it's 14 grand, 13 grand, 15 grand. They're always in that price point. 10,700 miles. Okay, seller says, throw me some offers. Runs and rides, great. It's a very fast bike. I'm buying a rear seat and rear tire here soon. I also have a bottle of the touch-up paint to match it and paint a cowl for it. 2006 Hayabusa Mardi Gras theme, 10,700 bikes. One of one bike painted by Uptown Graphics in ATL in 2015. You know, that's kind of, I would have thought that this motorcycle met its fate much earlier than that. 2015 is kind of late to the game for the custom Busa scene with all the chrome and all the craziness on it. It was owned by an older woman who created the idea of the paint scheme, so it's been well maintained and not abused. He's like, listen, an older lady on this thing. They didn't ping it off the rev limiter on the main drag of town. It's all good, baby. Oil was recently changed. I have stuff to do a coolant flush, but haven't gotten to it. But it's been well maintained. Trade for diesels, built cars, or maybe a 16-plus gasser. Don't even know what that is. Any questions, feel free to ask. If it's trades, just send the pictures and information. I won't reply to automated messages. $14,000. Now, what do we think, boys? Why would you even post this photo? I can't even see a damn thing except the weird painting of the Mardi Gras woman on top of the gas tank, or the windshield over there. We have the touch-up paint here. Nolans right here, so you remember where you come from, or your roots, you know? Mardi Gras Hayabusa, a stretched swing arm, chrome frame, new rear tire on the way, so you know it's quality, baby. Look at this kickstand. What's going on with this? Why is it scalloped? Why is it like Yngwie Malmsteen's guitar? It's all scalloped down over here. That's an esoteric reference. Keep up if you can. So this motorcycle, to me, 14 grand is crazy. You've customized it beyond all conceivable doubt, and you've made it into truly a homunculus against man's better intuition and reason. What's wrong with owning a stock Hayabusa? I'll say it. I'm not too precious. What's the problem with just owning a stock Busa? Why must a Busa fall to this fate? You know, why couldn't you wear a Mardi Gras shirt and ride a nice stock Busa? Why does your Busa need to be Mardi Gras themed? What if you don't want to be Mardi Gras themed every time you ride the bike? What if you don't want to be? What if you don't love Mardi Gras all that much? How could someone love Mardi Gras this much to make a Hayabusa themed like this? But you know, the question is, why would anyone do anything, really? You know, why question man's will, or I guess in this term, an older lady's will to exist, to do, to yearn, to strive? Maybe this can serve as a totem to remind us all that we have free will, right? You roll around your town on the Mardi Gras Busa, and you tell everyone, whether you want to or not, that you know, life's a party. Enjoy it while you can. Nobody gets out alive. And I'm gonna roll around on my Mardi Gras Busa with the little spikes on top of the windshield here. Incredible. 2006 Suzuki GSX-R going for $8,000. Huh? What? 21,000 miles on the clock. Excuse me? Selling this GSX-R. The paint is like a candy ruby red. It's a very nice color. Just saying. Have it sitting. It owes 200 on tags. Oh, awesome. But the bike does have upgrades, like upgraded dual cams and other little things. The bike handles very nice. It has no issues. I'm asking 8,000 OBO, open for trades. Let me know for any questions or concerns. Well, I am concerned, and I do have questions. I appreciate that you tell me that the paint is like a candy ruby red, as if I don't have eyes and can ascertain for my own sake what color and vibe I'm getting from this bike. Where are you getting $8,000 from? What are we talking about? This is what year is this? An 06, right? Damn 06 GSX-R. GSX-R Thou, I think. We don't even know how, I'm pretty sure it's 1,000, right? Must be. Doesn't even say. Why would this be $8,000? Where are you getting that figure from, my friend? This is like a $5,000 motorcycle, maybe even $4,000. But all the fairings are painted, and both cams are upgraded, not just one. Both of them. I could have just done one. You know, one cam just real aggressive and the other cam just stock, you know? You do that half mod, the half-ling mod. But no, he went the whole mile. He did 2 cams upgraded on this. hanging out with his buddies, ZX6 right there, both period correct to the mid-2000s. I gotta say, I'm not really understanding the $8,000 price tag, and the information on this motorcycle is very vague, very limited. And they all do the same thing, right? The anodized parts, I do like the period correct Yoshi over here. It's pretty sweet. Chromed out Yoshi pipe for the Gixxer. I mean, you got to hand it to him, right? That's like the classic vibe. And this is the type of bike that people, they own this, and then they have the gall to comment on my damn videos being like, my Gixxer 1000 is better than your Panigale. And I'm like, you own a mid-2000s Gixxer with upgraded cams. I don't even know what that means. You don't even have the spec of the cam on it. You're going to talk to me about you're better than my Panigale. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. Moving on. Oh, brother, hell yeah, we got the AI images, brother, on the 2006 Yamaha V-Star 650cc Classic, going for $2,100. If I ever seen boomer bait, this is it right here. This is so funny to me that they were just like, hey, put a sexy lady on my motorcycle so it'll help sell a little bit better. Sell my $2,100 Yamaha V-Star. This is also from 2006. I feel like every bike today is from 2006. Let's get a lay of the land. What does this seller say? Runs good. Shifts through all the gears smoothly. Original seats in good shape. Rust-free tank in good condition. We don't know the mileage on this thing. Carbs recently cleaned. New OEM stator installed. New OEM air filter. Oil change. Good look classic bike. I don't disagree. Good looking classic bike. Needs OEM rear blinkers. Missing battery side cover. Rear hub final drive unit leaks. Well, that's not good. Is it shaft drive? Really? Did they make the shaft drive? Needs new tires soon. True mileage unknown. We need a t-shirt that says that. I feel like that's a deeper message than anything else. Like true mileage unknown. That's like an epitaph. Right? That's like kind of a deep thing when you think about it. I'm going to make some t-shirts that say true mileage unknown. No limits. Clean VIN, no liens. Bonded title required. Oh, let's give a clap to the bonded title, please. See photos for details. Open to motorboat trades. I'm not going to make that joke. It's too easy. Mustang GT, BMW cars. No, you know what? I'm going to make that joke. The only thing you're going to be motorboating is the AI girlfriend with the VR headset. Got him. BMW cars or RV camper trades. Please send pics in your message. Okay, so $2,100, 20-year-old V-Star that leaks will need a bonded title because he doesn't have the title, I assume. I did not know these were shaft drive, but there it is. There's the shaft. I could have sworn these were belt drive because they were going after the cruiser market back in the day. Pretty substantial looking little machine, right? Look, this is like, God, they tried to copy Harley so much. I don't understand why the Japanese did this where they just were so blatant in trying to capture the boomer bait nostalgia thing that they did for so long. Because I really think Japanese cruisers are best when they're not trying to be anything else. Like, the Yamaha VMAX is an awesome cruiser because it's not trying to be a Harley-Davidson. Like, let Harley-Davidson be Harley-Davidson. I don't want metric cruisers. I want Japanese cruisers to be like the Honda Rebel 1100. I want to be like the VMAX, the Rocket 3. That's not Japanese, but you know what I mean. So, yeah. My man wearing the flip-flops. My man loving the AI girlfriend dropping on his motorcycle for the ad. He's going to sell it. My man loves a bonded title. Yeah, he's missing the cap over here for the battery, the cover. This is, like, we said the Ninja 300 was a great beginner bike. This is almost a great beginner bike. If it had a couple things and it actually had a title, then I would say, you know what? You want a little cruiser, you want to bop around, you want something simple, get this thing. That should be just fine for you. But ultimately, with all the issues this thing has, gotta call it. Not going to work out. Moving on. All right, 2015 Triumph Thruxton full custom build going for $9,000 with an unknown mileage. Kind of a funky little build, huh? Not really sure like what exactly was done here. This thing looks a little, I think it's just the kind of like side angle that it's at. All right, this is a fully custom 2015 Triumph Thruxton 900, originally built as a marketing/show bike for the Cooper State 1000. I'm not sure what that is, but it's kind of fun to have a bike just for an event. This is not your average bolt-on cafe build. This bike was professionally customized with a ton of detail throughout and has a super clean, timeless look. Highlights include hand-painted. Well, that's nice. Full custom cafe racer styling, originally built for promotional/show use. Now that worries me a little bit, and I'll talk about that. Extremely clean and well cared for, tons of custom fabrication and detail work, runs strong and gets attention everywhere. Now, here's the thing. When a bike is built as a show bike, that means that it is primarily thought of and designed to be art first and then a motorcycle second. Now, that presents a few problems, right? Because in general, when you're designing a bike to just be artful and whatever, practical considerations can start to go out the window. It also means that these bikes are typically not run very much either. And, these kind of like one-off custom bike builds or whatever, they can be very interesting, but I think buying one secondhand is a god-awful idea. I understand this person says that the whole thing was done, super carefully and with the best of intentions and professionally and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, you don't really know who did the work. You don't know how they did the work. You'd have to take a very close look at this machine. And ultimately, it's very difficult to say that this would be your exact dream custom bike. If you wanted something like this, you should probably go and build it yourself or set it up yourself. That way it's exactly the way that you would want. Just buying something like this just to buy it, to me, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I think the person who built this probably should have gone in with the understanding that reselling something like this is extraordinarily difficult. Very, very difficult to resell a motorcycle like this once it's been customized to this extent. But it looks to be a bike that you could reasonably ride around town. I mean, the clip-ons are super low, right? So it's going to be very uncomfortable, but it does have the cafe racer vibe. But ultimately, the geometry, everything doesn't look like it was modified and chopped up too much. Sometimes you see those crazy big wheel choppers or, super raked out choppers or whatever. And you're just like, well, I don't think it's really going to work out to actually ride this thing on the road. But this one, still looks somewhat reasonable, but doesn't make a whole lot of sense for anyone to really buy it. So anytime you embark on doing something super custom like this, I always say just assume that you are lighting that money on fire. You are never going to get that money back, and you're doing it for the love of the game. That's what I did with my little Gixxer 250 Scrambler build, the Janus that I bought. There's been several bikes I've bought throughout the years that I'm like, I went in knowing that I was lighting the money on fire, and I was okay with that. All right, this is another classic one, similar to that Yamaha we just saw. A 2001 Suzuki SV650 going for $1,500 with 25,000 miles on it. This is a classic example of like, don't get this type of bike as your first bike or as a project bike or anything like that. So, fella says, decent condition SV650, non-running. I've let it sit so the carbs will need to be rebuilt, fluids replaced, etc., just to get her going again. Great bike, just need to thin the herd and she doesn't get ridden. Great first bike or entry-level track bike. Yoshi pipe and rectangular headlight mod. Otherwise, stock, clean, blue title. Now, we've only got these two pictures to work with. This fellow also has his Harley right next to it, too. A bike going for $1,500, 25,000 miles, SV650, saying that it's non-running. It's like, all right, well, what the hell's wrong with it? It could be anything, right? So he's saying, oh, let it sit so the carbs need to be rebuilt. Oftentimes people will say this, we're like, oh, it just needs this one thing and you can go ride it. I always think, like, why don't you do that one thing? And then you could sell the bike for a price that actually makes sense, right? Because a running 2001 SV650 that is nicely kept, that's like a $2,500, $3,000 motorcycle maybe. Like, most bikes tend to just like end up about that price point, right? But you're kind of lazy and you don't want to fix it yourself. But I've always said, like, if it's such an easy fix, why don't you do it? Because most times it's not that easy, right? Most times it's something else that's wrong with it. You got to chase down problems. But I will say, oftentimes you have a situation where it's like, all right, you just need to put in a new battery, clean out the carbs, touch up a couple things here and there. Mechanically speaking, it's very rare that something deep is wrong with the motorcycle, especially a Japanese bike. Now, I will say I do see some signs of abuse, right? This has a remote reservoir for the shock back here. It implies potentially track day use for this motorcycle. Seller also mentioned track day use, and we just don't have enough good pictures of it. So this would also be a pass, in my opinion. It could be a bike that you see and you think, oh, like, that's so exciting. It's not much money. It's an SV650. I've heard those are really good. And like, yes, they are good, but at the same time, they can be, you know, problematic if you're getting the wrong one, which I think this one ultimately would be. Moving on. And last but certainly not least, I think a pretty clean example of a Busa. Finally, 2007 Suzuki Hayabusa, $5,200 with 20,000 miles. Very similar spec and condition to the Busa that I had, so pretty sweet. Got some crazy custom flames and custom seat or whatever. Fella says, good running bike, all maintenance kept up to date. Bike is garage kept. Any questions? Just ask. I think he knows that he's like, I know what I got is a Busa. If you want a Busa, this is it. Now, he does have pretty fresh Pirelli Super Courses on here. That's not the tire you'd expect to see on a Busa. I'm not going to lie. That's actually pretty nice. It's got the big seat cowl on it, too. The comfy seat. Looks like a little custom Hayabusa thing here. Anodized parts, unfortunately. Everyone does the damn levers, dude, and whatever. I would swap in for OE levers immediately. But in the pantheon of crazy Busas, this is a great one. Super clean, super simple. This would not need very much at all to just have like a good, clean, nice Hayabusa, And I think they're rarer and rarer, and I think that they're more and more interesting to own just like a nice, stock, older Japanese bike like this. I think that's becoming kind of cooler to do in a lot of ways. So this one for me what do you want it for? $5,200? That's a great price. I paid more for mine that had just a few less miles. Granted, mine was at a dealership, and I probably should have spent a little bit more time looking for ones. Kind of a messy-ish garage, but it's tucked away in a corner. Maybe not a proper enthusiast, let's say. We have the dump pipe right here. It's kind of like beat up a little bit, but maybe it's just my bias on the Busa where I'm like, I can fix it, dude. I can fix her, man. I can get this thing looking nice and enjoying life on the Busa. Some days I miss mine. Some days I miss my Turbo Busa. All right, boys, that's going to wrap it up for today. That's this episode of It Came From Facebook. Thank you so much for checking it out. Thank you so much for the Discord boys for submitting this one. We really do appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.